Let me ask you something straight. Have you ever ended a day completely exhausted, busy from morning to night, and yet felt like nothing truly important moved forward? You checked emails, answered messages, solved last-minute problems. You were productive, right? Or at least that's what it felt like. But deep down, you know the truth. You were distracted. You see, the most dangerous kind of distraction isn't loud. It doesn't look like laziness. It wears the mask of urgency. It pretends to be useful. It even makes you feel accomplished until you realize your goals are exactly where you left them, untouched. This is the invisible enemy of success, distraction disguised as productivity. And that's where most people live, in reaction, not direction. They're moving but not progressing, working but not building, and in the end, they're tired but not transformed. Brian Tracy said it best, "Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and results show." If your attention is scattered, so is your power. If your mind is divided, so is your momentum. Distraction steals more than time. It steals identity, because your life will always drift toward whatever you focus on most, not what you say you want, not what you wish for when things get quiet, but what you consistently feed with your attention, your thoughts, and your energy. Focus, then, is not a luxury. It's survival. It's the GPS of your destiny. If you don't intentionally program it, the world will pull you in every direction except forward. James 1:8 says, "A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways." That's not just scripture, that's strategy. A scattered mind builds unstable results. A distracted soul never finishes the race, because inconsistency doesn't attract success, it repels it. That's what this video is about. Not just removing distractions, but realigning your mind. Not just time management, but thought mastery. Because the law of focus isn't just about discipline, it's about attraction. You don't attract what you casually wish for. You attract what you repeatedly focus on. Clarity is magnetic, and the more you direct your attention toward what truly matters, the more your life begins to respond. Opportunities become visible. Energy flows easier. Decisions feel lighter because you're no longer leaking power, you're channeling it. And that's the turning point. The world around you doesn't need to change. Your boss doesn't need to get better. Your schedule doesn't need to shrink. The shift begins when you take authority over your attention, when you stop chasing noise and start commanding your focus. Right now, as you listen to this, you already know what needs more of your attention, and you already know what's been stealing it. Maybe it's the constant scroll. Maybe it's the need to reply instantly. Maybe it's old fears dressed up as busy work. Whatever it is, it's costing you your future. This is the call to reclaim it. So before we go any further, comment this now. I choose focus. I direct my energy with intention. Let that be your starting point, not just words, but a declaration of war against the distractions that have kept you stuck in motion but out of alignment. Subscribe if you're tired of reacting, if you're ready to build a mind that doesn't just survive the noise, but masters it. Because in this series, we're not here to give you another list of tips. We're here to rewire the way you think, to train your attention like a warrior trains his weapon, to teach you how to direct your energy where it matters most until results become inevitable. This is where your transformation begins, not when you get more time, but but when you take control of your focus, and everything starts to align. Let me start by telling you something most people never realize. Your brain doesn't capture reality, it filters it. Right now, in this very moment, there are millions of pieces of information around you. Sounds, images, sensations, emotions, but you don't notice them all. You can't. Your brain simply wouldn't handle it. So what does it do? It selects, it prioritizes, it filters. And what controls that filter is your focus. This is where the law of focus begins to reshape your life, not from the outside, but from the inside. Because your reality isn't made up of what's actually there, it's made up of what you notice. Inside your brain, there's a structure known as the Reticular Activating System, or RAS. This small, powerful bundle of neurons is like the gatekeeper of your consciousness. It decides what you're going to pay attention to and what you'll ignore, and it doesn't choose randomly. The RAS listens to your dominant thoughts, your repeated emotions, the narratives you rehearse in your mind. In other words, your focus becomes the code that programs your perception. Tracy puts it like this: what you hold in your mind on a consistent basis is exactly what you will experience in your life. Let that sink in. It means your brain isn't leading you, it's following your instructions, and those instructions are written through repetition, emotion, and attention. Think of it this way. Have you ever thought about buying a new car? You pick a model, you imagine the color, the feel of the wheel, and suddenly you start seeing that car everywhere, on the street, at the gas station, in traffic. Did everyone suddenly decide to buy the same car? Of course not. Your RAS just tuned in. It started filtering your world to highlight what your mind had been focusing on. The exact same principle applies to opportunities, to relationships, to success, to failure. If your focus is on fear, you see reasons to retreat. If your focus is on gratitude, you notice what's working. If your focus is on growth, you start seeing paths you couldn't see before. This is not wishful thinking. This is neuroscience in action. Dr. Caroline Leaf puts it like this: you are the gardener of your mind. Whatever you water with your attention grows. And that's the key. You're not just experiencing life, you're cultivating it. You're planting seeds with every thought you give attention to, and your brain is making sure you see more of it, whether you want it or not. Focus is not passive. Focus is power. And the danger? Most people don't choose their focus intentionally. They let news, social media, past pain, and current distractions do the programming for them. Then they wonder why they feel overwhelmed or anxious or stuck. But here's the truth. You can't control every circumstance. You can't control other people. You can't even control all your emotions, but you can control your focus. And once you do that, everything changes. The Apostle Paul said it centuries ago in Philippians 4:8, "Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, think about such things." He wasn't being poetic, he was being practical. He understood that what occupies your mind builds your reality. When you focus on problems, they multiply. When you focus on possibilities, you unlock creativity. When you focus on pain, it expands. When you focus on purpose, pain transforms into growth. This is the law of focus in its clearest form. What you align with mentally becomes what you attract emotionally and what you manifest behaviorally. Let me say that again. You don't attract what you want. You attract what your focus prepares to see and act on. That's why clarity is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. Without it, your attention becomes a weapon against yourself. So the question is not, can I change my life? The real question is, what am I choosing to focus on right now? Because that's what your brain is going to build into your day, your reactions, your decisions, and your outcomes. If you've been focusing on what's missing, no wonder life feels scarce. If you've been focusing on what's wrong, no wonder it feels hard to move forward. But if you start focusing on what's working, even the smallest things, your RAS will begin to light up those paths. Focus is not passive. Focus is power. And the danger? Most people don't choose their focus intentionally. They let news, social media, past pain, and current distractions do the programming for them. Then they wonder why they feel overwhelmed, or anxious, or stuck. But here's the truth. You can control what you water in the garden of your mind, because whatever you water grows, and whatever grows defines your reality.
Let me ask you something direct. How many tabs are open right now? In your browser and in your mind. We live in a world that glorifies being busy. People wear it like a badge of honor, as if the more overwhelmed you are, the more valuable you must be. But here's the reality. Being busy is not the same as being productive, and most of the time, it's the exact opposite. This obsession with multitasking, this idea that doing several things at once makes you smarter, faster, better, is one of the biggest lies sabotaging your focus and results. Multitasking is a myth, a trap, and one of the greatest sources of hidden frustration on the path to success. Tracy puts it with brutal clarity. Every time you switch tasks, you lose momentum and you waste energy rebuilding it. Let that sink in. Your brain is not a supercomputer running multiple tabs flawlessly. It's more like a spotlight. It can shine intensely in one direction at a time. And every time you shift that spotlight, you lose light, clarity, and energy. Here's what really happens when you try to multitask. Your brain doesn't actually do two cognitive tasks at once. It interrupts, it resets, it reloads every single time you switch. You're not multitasking, you're rapid task switching, and it's costing you. Here's the math of multitasking. Up to 20% of time lost every time you switch tasks. Less learning retention, lower quality work, more mental fatigue, and eventually you end up exhausted, behind, and wondering where all your energy went. Stanford University researchers proved it. People who frequently try to multitask actually perform worse on memory tests, struggle to focus, and have slower reaction times than those who do one thing at a time. You may feel like you're getting more done, but the science is clear. You're actually doing less, with less quality, less clarity, and more stress. And what's worse? Multitasking trains your brain to stay in a state of distraction. It tells your mind, stay shallow, don't go deep, jump, scroll, skim, react. That's the opposite of mastery, the opposite of fulfillment, and definitely the opposite of breakthrough results. Real focus, the kind that moves the needle in your business, your health, your relationships, is singular. It's the discipline to do one thing, fully, with total presence. It's not about doing more. It's about going deeper. Because depth, not volume, creates transformation. You want to achieve something extraordinary? Then don't try to do everything. Do the right thing with full intensity. Eliminate the noise. Elevate the execution. And the difference is not just practical, it's spiritual. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 9:10, "Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might." That's not just productivity advice. That's focus as faithfulness. To give your best right here, right now, with everything you've got. Think about it. What if the reason you're stuck isn't lack of time, but divided energy? What if your frustration doesn't come from what's on your plate, but from how distracted your attention is while trying to handle it? This is the unseen enemy of progress. You're reading emails while listening to a podcast. You're in a meeting while checking your phone. You're writing a message while half listening to your child. And at the end of the day, you feel tired, but not fulfilled, busy, but not productive, active, but not advancing. Here's the truth. Focus is a form of integrity. It says, I'm here, fully. I'm not giving you fragments of myself. I'm giving you my presence. And that presence, that depth, is what makes results exponential. So what do you do now? You train your brain for focus. Start small. Choose one task. Set a timer for 25 minutes. This is known as the Pomodoro technique. No phone, no notifications, no switching. Do the task fully. Then rest, then repeat. The more you do this, the more you break the addiction to noise. You quiet the craving for constant stimulation, and you rediscover the power of full engagement. Because when your focus is clean, your actions become powerful. And when your actions are powerful, your results start to multiply, not from effort alone, but from alignment. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, stop. Ask yourself, where is my focus? Not your to-do list, not your inbox, not your calendar, just your focus. Because that, and only that, will determine the quality of what you produce, the peace you feel, and the progress you make. You were not designed to be scattered. You were created to be clear. And clarity only comes through focus.
What you think, feel, and repeatedly reinforce, you eventually attract. That's the essence of the law of attraction. And where it all begins is with focus. What you focus on, you feed. And what you feed, you give energy. That energy forms the vibration you broadcast daily. Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches, you become what you think, feel, and believe, repeatedly. This is not ideology, it's effect, it's energy turned identity. So when you focus, really focus, you're doing more than just paying attention. You're launching emotional concentration. That emotional weight creates magnetism. Your brain recognizes that signal, begins to filter more of it into your awareness, and your external world starts echoing it. Let's break it down with examples. Focus on fear, you feed anxiety. You reinforce self-protection. And soon, you notice obstacles and declare them defensive truths. Focus on gratitude, you expand awareness of what's already working. You invite goodwill, opportunities, and trust. Your energy becomes buoyant. Focus on scarcity, you feed limitation. You reinforce lack, and you begin to feel closed in, defended, small. Even doors aligned with your success will feel out of reach. Focus on solutions, you plant clarity. You begin to see paths you hadn't noticed before. You attract collaboration, resources, innovation. Brian Tracy sums it up cleanly. You become what you think about most of the time. That applies to every area of your life: money, health, relationships, spiritual growth. Your internal radar defines your external results. In Matthew 6:22, it says, "If your eye is good, your whole body will be full of light." That's a spiritual framing of the law of focus. If your focus aligns with what builds and uplifts, your entire energy system clears. Light begins to fill your reality. So if you're asking, how do I shift results? The answer isn't in new tools or techniques. It's in what your mind repeatedly revisits. The law of attraction responds to emotional repetition, and repetition responds to whatever is at your focus center day after day. This is how alignment and attraction become inevitable, not miraculous. The invisible force of focus, consider this. Focus serves like the sun watering the garden of your thoughts. Whatever grows under that light thrives or withers. If your default focus is grounded in lack, you'll attract outcomes tainted by fear.
If your focus is grounded in opportunity, you'll attract growth and possibility. If your focus is grounded in identity, aligned with purpose, you'll magnetize opportunity that matches. This is not about forced positivity, it's about intentional, deep focus. The feedback loop of focused energy. Focus creates energy. Energy becomes magnetism. Magnetism draws aligned experiences. Your reality begins reflecting what you rehearse mentally. That loop is programmable. You're not helpless, you simply have to become deliberate. Your internal station is adjustable. You can tune it toward purpose or fear, prosperity or lack, creation or distraction. How to align your focus daily. Choose your focal lens each morning. Before you open your phone, decide, what will capture my attention today? Gratitude, growth, purpose, solution. Feed your focus intentionally. Read constructive content. Review aligned affirmations. Engage your vision in prayer or meditation. Limit distractions that hijack attention. Unsubscribe, mute notifications, batch communication time. Protect your mind's capacity. Notice what replay loops in your thoughts. Fear-based stories? Shift them with clarity statements, gratitude, future vision statements. End your day with reflection. What consumed your focus today? Did it build your identity or fractal your attention? A shift in perspective, realignment story. Imagine someone frustrated with finances. They watch budget videos, they meditate on abundance, but their energy defaults to worry. Thoughts leak. Money is tight. I can't afford risk. It's never enough. Expectation cancels promise. Attraction hears fear, not abundance. Laws aren't broken. Focus is misaligned. Now, imagine they begin to realign. Each night, they focus on one thing they handled well. They visualize money flowing to them in ethical ways. They speak belief. I add value. Money supports my impact. They repeat it. They feel it. They anchor it emotionally. Soon, the RAS recalibrates. They begin noticing good leads. They meet collaborators. Budget gaps shift. Their reality begins to reflect their focus, not because they pretended, but because they consistently realigned their attention. The spiritual continuity of focus. Focus is discipline. Focus is alignment. Focus is fortification of your internal system. Without it, your thoughts drift, your energy leaks, your desires scatter. But when focus becomes deliberate, your life becomes coherent, decisions easier, actions clearer, energy grounded. Because clarity becomes the default, and life never attracts more than your clarity can hold. Closing reflection. Focus is not superficial. It's radical. It's the lens through which the soul builds reality. Where you place your mind, where you feed your soul's lens, determines the shape of your future. So ask yourself, what am I watering today? Am I feeding anxiety, distraction, doubt, or possibility, power, clarity? You don't receive what you ask, you receive what you believe by your focus. And that belief forms your attraction. Fix your lens, protect your focus, let your life reflect what you choose to hold in your mind consistently. That is the law of focus at work.
Daniel was the classic, always busy guy, juggling 2 jobs, actively posting on every social network, running around to meet commitments left and right, yet making 0 meaningful progress. He would often say, "I work all day, but my life never gets anywhere." And the issue wasn't effort, it was lack of focus. He was exhausting energy on everything except what actually drives forward, until the night he watched a Brian Tracy talk and heard the game changer. Clarity is the starting point of success. Focus is the force that sustains it. That line reached him deep, not as motivational fluff, but as practical truth. That evening, he decided no more spreading himself thin. He would apply the law of focus with radical intention. Daniel's 3 transformative shifts. In the next 60 days, he implemented 3 practical changes. 1. Eliminated digital distractions. He deleted social media apps that didn't contribute to his goals. He stopped consuming passive content. No more endless scrolling at night or automatic checking during the day. He pulled the plug on noise and reclaimed attention. 2. Created a 90-day action plan. He defined clearly what he wanted, why he wanted it, and how he would measure progress. That meant setting specific monthly goals, daily tasks, and weekly reviews. Not abstract aspirations, but tactical, measurable action aligned to purpose. 3. Focused exclusively on activities with direct returns. He stopped reacting to every demand or distraction. Instead, he asked, "Is this moving me toward my goal?" If not, he said no. Meetings, emails, side hustle experiments, they needed to have intentional value. He reserved energy for the things that directly contributed. The results, 6 months later, in just half a year, he built a fully functional e-commerce store from scratch. He paid off long-standing debts, freeing himself from financial paralysis. He began investing in personal development, purchasing courses and coaching to advance his entrepreneurial capacity. But more than metrics, the transformation was internal. He said, "I became someone who respects my own energy. I now focus only on what moves me toward purpose." Daniel didn't create more time. He created direction. And in that focus, momentum arrived. The mechanics behind that transformation. Think of his life this way. Pre-build, energy looked like scattered sparks, small bursts but no ignition. Post-build, energy became streamlined power, purposeful, directed, consistent. Daniel's clarity defined what mattered. His focus ensured where his attention went, and his intention determined how he acted consistently. Where other busy people felt exhaustion, Daniel experienced elevation. His hustling didn't increase output, it diluted outcomes. When he switched to intentional focus, the same hours produced transformation. Focus doesn't demand more time, it demands more intention. Why Daniel's story matters for you? His story isn't unique. It's the story of anyone stuck in motion but not momentum. Anyone exhausted from running but not arriving. Anyone frantically busy yet frustrated. What changed for Daniel wasn't external conditions. It wasn't a new job or inherited capital. It was internal resolution. He resolved to govern his mind's power rather than let him govern him. That's the power of the law of focus. It doesn't require grand work. It requires deliberate alignment. What can you take from Daniel's path? Start with digital discipline. Observe what steals attention. Remove what doesn't serve. Create friction around distractions. Let your environment reinforce your focus. Next, define clarity over chaos. Know what you want in the next 90 days. Anchor it with purpose. Clarify progress markers. Reflection becomes your compass. Then prioritize for impact. Stop responding to service noise. Begin acting on aligned opportunity. Energy becomes magnetic when you reserve it for meaningful tasks. In 6 months, small shifts in structure and decision-making can lead to life-changing results. Internal shift, identity of focus. Daniel often reflects, he didn't just become someone with results, he became someone who stays true to his energy and purpose. That internal identity shift is often more powerful than any external success.
You don't just become successful one day, you become the person who behaves like success daily. That identity over time shapes results naturally. Final reflection. Distraction isn't productivity. Busyness isn't a sign of progress. Noise is not momentum. That's the illusion most people fall into. But focused clarity, consistently applied, is the realignment that ignites change. You may not have more hours, but you can choose to intentionally steward the hours you have. Make decisions that reflect purpose, not reaction. Direct energy where value builds, not where distraction lures. When your focus meets clarity, action becomes aligned, results become visible, and identity becomes steady. That is the unseen architecture of attraction. Your next move. If Daniel would have started today, what would be his first shift? Maybe it's uninstalling apps. Maybe it's carving out planning time. Maybe it's saying no to one distraction, or deciding on your first aligned action today. Momentum starts with that single focused step. You don't need permission, you need intention. And when that intention anchors into daily alignment, focus becomes magnetic. And your life starts moving not by accident, but by design. Because attraction doesn't happen to the unfocused, it responds to clarity. And clarity only emerges when you choose focus.
Focus does not emerge from intention alone. Focus is trained. Like any muscle, it grows stronger through daily practice, consistency, and clear intention. No miracle fix, just disciplined habits that redirect your mind toward what matters most. Here are 3 practical tools you can implement immediately to strengthen your focus every day. 1. Purposeful morning planning. Before opening your phone or diving into your inbox, pause. Ask yourself, what is the one outcome today that, if achieved, makes this day count? Now pick 1 to 3 essential tasks, your personal North Star for the day. Write them down. These become non-negotiable anchors. You do them first. You do them intact. You protect them from distraction. Ignore everything else until these are completed. Because Brian Tracy says, every minute spent in planning saves 10 minutes in execution. That planning is not wasteful, it's visionary. It aligns your daily motion to purpose rather than reaction. You're not busy, you're strategic. 2. The intentional Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro method isn't new. 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute rest. But here's how you add intention. Before each 25-minute burst, pause. Take a brief prayer or moment of conscious breathing. Ask for clarity, discernment, and calm direction. That spiritual anchor quiets mental chatter. It aligns your brain and soul toward presence. Then you begin. For 25 minutes, you are fully present. No checking, no scrolling, no half-listening. Just deep, aligned execution. Then, during the 5-minute pause, stand up, breathe, stretch, reflect. Then recalibrate your intention before the next round. This is not time management, it's energy management with spiritual alignment. By ending the cycle and restarting with intention, your focus becomes a rhythm of clarity, presence, and purpose. 3. Distraction barriers. Build external borders. You've heard it. We live plugged into distraction 24/7, so we have to build boundaries. Get an app that limits social media usage. Inform family or colleagues, I need uninterrupted time. Place a note on your screen. Does this move me closer to my goal? These are not constraints. They are protection.
Proverbs 4:25 instructs, "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you." Focus demands you resist the pull of inconsequential stimuli. It demands mental clarity, active choice, and invisible boundaries made visible. Why these tools work? These practices don't require more time. They redeem time and energy. They cultivate alignment. Morning planning roots your day in direction. Intentional Pomodoro synchronizes thought, emotion, and action with purpose. Distraction barriers protect your mental bandwidth, making focus habitual. You're no longer managing chaos, you're molding clarity. The neural mechanics behind the habit. Your brain strengthens pathways through repetition. Every time you ask a spiritual pause, your nervous system learns calm. Every time you focus unbroken for 25 minutes, your RAS trains to filter only aligned stimuli. Your identity shifts. You become someone who commands attention rather than CEO of distraction. You become a steward of your energy, not a victim of habit. With each completed Pomodoro, your mind reaffirms, I can stay present, I can produce, I can deliver. With each morning plan, your day follows direction, not distraction. With each barrier erected, your peace becomes a field, not just a moment. Realignment example. A week of practice. Imagine replicating this cycle for 7 days. You identify one real priority at sunrise. You enter 2 or 3 Pomodoros with intentional clarity and spiritual anchoring. You eliminate at least 2 digital distractors. You review at night. What moved the needle? Where did focus waver? At the end of the week, a subtle shift. You feel less drained. Your decisions feel lighter. Your attention edges toward what matters. You begin noticing opportunities, not inbox noise. Your rhythm becomes purposeful, not frantic. And then you carry that into month 2. Momentum builds. Execution becomes deeper, not wider. Energy becomes sustain, not scatter. Your force becomes quiet clarity. Faith plus structure equals magnetism. These tools aren't religious rituals, they're spiritual structures. They honor time and align soul. They integrate mental discipline with spiritual clarity. You don't pray because you're weak, you pray so your mind remains anchored in higher frequency. You don't use a timer because you're unproductive, you use it because you value your presence. Final reflection. The law of focus is not philosophical, it is practical. Focus is not about willpower, it's about design. You don't need more energy, you need better channels for energy. You don't need more time, you need cleaner clarity and intention. These tools don't guarantee overnight success, but they guarantee daily alignment, and alignment stacked over days is powerful. Your action steps. Clearly identify your essential task tomorrow morning before opening your phone. Use 2 Pomodoros today with intentional breathing or prayer before each. Establish one visible barrier, a signed note, app limit, or message to others. End the day with a quick journal, what you maintained focus on and what drifted. That's the start. Muscle built through microhabit gives monumental edge over time. In the next segment, you'll see how to integrate these tools into a long-term operating rhythm where focus doesn't fade when challenge arrives, but sharpens. Until then, remember, focus is not born, it's cultivated, and you can train your mind intention by intention, day by day. Because what you hold your attention to builds your life.
Your life doesn't respond to what you casually wish for. It responds to what you consistently focus on. Everything you have now, good or bad, was built from the thoughts, feelings, and reinforcements you replayed over time. You become what you think about most of the time. Brian Tracy states this unchangeable principle: you become what you think about most of the time. That is the purest expression of the law of focus. Your emotional clarity and intention create your attraction field. What you sustain mentally and emotionally begins to solidify into your reality. The Bible reinforces the same truth in Proverbs 23:7. As he thinks in his heart, so is he. Or, as another translation reads, as he imagines in his soul, so will he be. That means your focus isn't just something you direct. It is something that builds your character, your outcomes, and your identity. So the question now is simple. What have you been focusing on? And what is that focus actually creating? Think about it. Every repeated worry has made worry stronger. Every replayed doubt has armed resistance. On the flip side, every repeated gratitude, hope, vision, and belief has fortified your trajectory toward more aligned results. This isn't magic. It's structural. It's built from the inside out. What you protect with attention becomes protected in your reality. Yes, distraction is loud, but alignment is king, and clarity is magnetic. When you train your mind to focus on what builds, you invite what transforms. That shift demands intention. It demands consistency. It demands leadership over your mind. You don't just stop thinking negatively. You actively redirect your mental energy toward constructive repetition daily, because thought is fertilizer, and your soil is the soil of your life. Here's the truth. Focus is choice. You can choose to water your anxiety or your abundance. You can water fear or faith. You can water resistance or vision. Life offers both. It's up to you which one you cultivate. The outcome isn't in chance. It's in what you repeatedly attend to. So take a moment now. Pause. Notice the dominant vibration you've been nurturing. Is it scarcity, comparison, resentment? Or is it clarity, peace, purpose? Whatever it is, that is the picture you've been drawing with your mind, not accidentally, but intentionally through focus. Now ask yourself, what could change if you shifted your focus to what you genuinely want? Imagine the mental energy freed, the opportunities you would begin to recognize, the momentum you would build, not through bigger effort, but through more aligned attention. That's what the law of focus teaches. You don't need to do more. You need to direct more. Your mental clarity becomes your magnet. Your intention becomes your architecture. So here is your next move. Comment now, I protect my focus. I attract with intention. Let that statement echo inside your energy field. Declare it out loud and anchor it as your personal reset. Then, subscribe to this channel. If you're committed to strengthening your mind, faith, and purpose through daily alignment, not distraction, you're in the right place. Each video here is designed to reinforce clarity, sharpen focus, and guide intentional momentum. And share this video with someone who's been stuck in motion without movement, with someone who's busy but not fulfilled, with someone who's ready to reclaim their attention and their destiny. Because here, we don't just talk about focus. We build it, we live it, and we show how it constructs the life you were created to attract. Focus isn't a trick.
It's a structure. You don't attract by chance. You attract by what you focus on and protect over time. Attention is your most valuable resource. Choose what you feed wisely. Your future is not built in noise, it's built in clarity. Where you focus, you create.